So design for people with disabilities is better design for everyone. Okay. Mini history lesson. Universal design came from architecture, actually, because we discovered that if you have a wheelchair, you can't get into narrow doors. And you know, the last I knew, except if you get the one very special $35,000 chair, you can't get up steps. And so architecture said, you know, we can design doorways bigger, and we can design ramps and things. So this concept of universal design really began in architecture, in facilities. And so they've got sort of a head start. Unfortunately, they've also got one of the longest, heaviest foot-dragging components, because in order to fix it, you've got to demolish things. And so architecture saw it first. They've started doing things right first, and then they also have one of the hardest ways to do it, because you have to destroy buildings or stairways or curbs in order to do it right. So secondly sort of came along, and this is out of order. After facilities, there was a whole wave of universal design in information media. The web came along, and there were some really strong advocates, not on the mobility community that happened for architecture, but out of the blind community that says, you know, when you move from that DOS, disk operating system, back from the old gazillion days, and you move to graphical interfaces like Windows and the Macintosh, what you've done is you've just slammed the door in the face of everyone who's blind, who used to be able to use a computer and no longer can because they can't see what's on the computer. When it's text, they can have text readers read the computer. When it's a picture, the text reader goes, unless we say that picture is about such and such and put it in text. So this whole concept of how do we do universal design on the web and in information media sort of evolved and came across. And then really, the youngest kid on the block is us in instruction and academic applications. Now, instruction including laboratory fieldwork, distance learning, student services, advising, tutoring, the whole thing. Now that I've said that we're the last on the block, let me say that we're the most important on the block. I mean, we're all academia, right? We've got to be the most important. Well, here's the justification. Campuses are microcosms of society. If we can do universal design here, we can demonstrate universal design in every city, every town, every home, everywhere else in the country. Because if you think about it, a campus has residences, they've got lodging, they've got public areas, they've got private areas, they've got food services and restaurants, they've got media of every type you can possibly think of. Just about everything you find in a city or a town is on a campus. And so if we can crack the universal design nut on campuses, we're really helping out society as a demonstration site. So every one of our campuses is a mini demonstration site to be able to show the rest of the world how to do it. The other thing is, because we're training students that learn where they learn, when they go out into the world, we're really being the role models. So rationale, accessibility for all students, including students with hidden disabilities. And for a long time, the Junes of the world said, well, we have about 5% of our students coming to us and register that have disabilities, but we know there's a lot more out there that we know have disabilities, but they're not coming to us. And we're going to show you some statistics a little later we've been accumulating at UW-Milwaukee to show you maybe what that might be and if that was real or not, or if you guys were making it up. So anyway, learning styles, really big thing. We're going to talk a little bit more about. Tim's going to talk about that a little bit. English is a second language. Everyone, really universal design is for everyone, and that's important. Just a little bit about hidden disabilities. What are they? Learning disabilities such as dyslexia, if you can't read, ADHD, mental health impairments, depression, anxiety disorders are examples. Chronic illnesses that can be systemic illnesses such as cancer, HIV, diabetes. We don't know if people have those problems and are being stressed for a variety of ways as students unless they tell us. And they don't have to tell us. And most of the students don't tell us. And so how do we, and these are students at risk. These are the ones that are going to fail out of our classes and are going to drop out of college if we don't do something. What are we doing for them? Well, we try to be good teachers. So, but that is a really, really important group that universal design tries to address. So, what are the issues? Statistics in colleges everywhere are commonly reflecting the majority of students with disabilities is this population called learning disabilities. Disclosure issues, people who have a disability, particularly learning disability, because on campuses, we're here to learn, and we're here to show how much we know and how good we are, so why would I want to say I can't learn? My goodness. Anyway, so there's a huge stigma still there, and then especially with things like mental illness, and it might even be more of a stigma now since some really critical safety issues. People are not going to really want to say, hey, I'm one of those. Watch out for me. So it really, really becomes an issue. And then there's that whole group of people who have really never been diagnosed. So self-reported student disability survey results. Just a couple snapshots of some data here. And we asked students, now here's what we did differently. Instead of asking June to count the number of students that come to her office and divide that by the number of students at UW-LaCrosse, because you get a percentage of students with disabilities that way, instead of doing that, we went into the classrooms and had everyone in the classrooms answer a survey. Do you have an impairment? Do you have a disability? Are you getting services from June's office? And that's what we did. And we found some very interesting things. We also asked some other questions like, is English your primary language? I'm going to step through some of these pretty quickly to keep us moving, but a large percentage of individuals said that English was not their primary language, about 8%. A fair amount said they had a disability, 5%. We had some rating scales, and I'm just going to step through these and get to a summary. What we discovered was that in terms of self-identified disability, there were about 5.3%. But we asked another question afterwards. We said, do you have a disability? And then we said, do you have any impairments? And we listed them. It's not like we said, do you have any impairments? And people had to figure out what that meant. We said, do you have any impairments where you can't, move your arms or legs? Do you have any impairments where, we kind of listed visual, hearing, the different sensory and physical impairments. It turned out that of the students, in addition to the students that said they had a disability, there were another 11.4 students that said they had an impairment of some type, a significant impairment. And then if you throw in the English is not a primary language, we're over 20% of our students have some at-risk learning issue that we need to deal with, most of which we didn't even know were there. And so how can we go into a classroom where, let's figure this out, 100 divided by 20 is 1 out of 5 students is going to need some special services. June, can you handle that? 1 out of 5 students? You can't handle the 1 out of 20 very well because you don't have enough staff. So how in the world are you going to do 1 out of 5? So it's a huge, huge issue, much bigger. So how do we do that? There's no way we can pour enough resources into June's office to do that. So we have to figure out a new model for doing that.